channel. This is Christopher.
And Fiona.
Welcome to another sit down with us. Um, if you're there watching right now, uh, hold up, don't switch yet. Kindly subscribe, like, share. Share after you've seen it, and leave a comment. But just give this a chance. Take a look, and maybe you'll find some value in it. Okay, maybe we are back having a conversation, a talk. What we're talking about today?
So today we are going to talk about an experience that we had a couple months ago, and we just kind of wanted to share that journey. Well, on Christmas Eve, we found out I was pregnant, and a couple weeks later after that, I had a miscarriage. And so that experience in a different country, um, yeah, we just want to talk about the miscarriage, how that all went, some of the situations we experienced that, like, a typical Norwegian resident wouldn't have to go through. And yeah.
So we found out that we were pregnant, and that was good. And I really, after a very short period of time, I started to look forward to it. I did actually. I started to look forward to it. But I got into my man space of overthinking everything, trying to plan everything, like what we're gonna do. At the time, we already started to find a new place actually.
Yeah, we had the apartment up for sale.
Yeah. So we're all in that mindset. But quickly, it also went over to you being concerned because of your age and first pregnancy, and just wanting to know that things were fine. Even at that stage, I think you started to be concerned around this fourth, fifth week or so.
Yeah, no, I think we found out when I was about 4 weeks already. So for me, it's a woman gets pregnant, she starts making appointments with her doctor. Um, you don't get appointments like tomorrow, or like sometimes you don't get appointments for like a week, a couple weeks, or whatever. So for me, it was something to like get on. Um, However, I didn't have a doctor here. I don't have a doctor here. I currently am still like a tourist here. I'm a visitor until my papers go through. So I don't have a doctor here. So any type of medical help I would need would be out of pocket, number one. However, in Norway, pregnancy, like if you're pregnant, your care is covered, whether you're a Norwegian resident or not. But I didn't have a doctor. And so, in order to get a doctor, you need to book online. In order to book an appointment online, you have to
Have an
have an
identification
identification
number.
number or personal number, whatever it's called here.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have that. And this is where some of the just issues came in, because I'm used to, if I need to go to an urgent care, I just go to urgent care. Over here, you have to phone the urgent care, you have to tell them what's going on, and then they can tell you whether you can come in or not. So I called the urgent care
Because that was the pretty much the only thing that we could
access.
access because you didn't. We got to research it, and that was the advice that if anything is wrong, you have to contact urgent care and go to a general practitioner.
Right.
Anyway,
So I called urgent care with the language barrier, and no one's like, "Okay, you're pregnant. Why are you calling?" And I'm like, "I, I, this isn't this what people do when they get pregnant? They start making appointments with their doctor." And so she gave me an appointment a couple weeks later, and because we pretty much this was like the week between Christmas and New Year, and then also just yeah, holiday season. People are away, blah blah blah. So she gave me an appointment.
was it a couple of weeks later?
Yeah, like
We found out Christmas Eve, and we went to the went to urgent care before New Year's,
before New Year's.
didn't we?
No, I think we went
It
to
was
urgent care
right
on the
after New Year.
third or something. So we, I went to urgent care, and in this process, like I'm really frustrated because for me, I want to start scheduling for an ultrasound, and in Canada, I think you can get an ultrasound at 11 weeks, as early as 11 weeks. I'm already about 5 weeks. So, granted, I had about, I think, about 6 more weeks, but I wanted to have an appointment already booked ahead of time and everything. So, at urgent care, we're told 18 weeks. The doctor said, "Why are you here? You're pregnant." And so he does ask the question, "When was your last cycle?" And I tell him, he's like, "Yep, you're 5 weeks." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what my tracker told me." And then he's like, "I don't know what they do in the country where you come from, but over here, we don't do anything until like 18
Yeah,
weeks for
that's it.
ultrasound, but you don't need to come and see me until you're 11 weeks." He said for like your first checkup when you're pregnant shouldn't be until 11 weeks. So I said, "Well, in my country where I come from, where I just came from in Canada, they would at least try to do like a blood work and like urine sample." I didn't get any of that offered to me, so I had to request those. And you know, the doctor, besides that, like he was very pleasant. He spoke English to me the entire time, which was, I really appreciated that, because when he handed me over to the nurse, he told the nurse that I don't speak Norwegian, but my husband speaks Norwegian. However, I speak English. So when she needed me to go, like hold still for the needle and whatnot, she spoke to me English. But when the results came, she just completely like just ignored me and just spoke to Christopher about my medical results in Norwegian. And I'm like standing there just like confused, having to wait for him to translate, and she can speak English. So, anyways, we left, and then all this while I'm kind of just on Christopher for us to find a midwife, because most of the time here in Norway, the midwives deal with your pregnancy and everything. So it was like a bit of a struggle to even find that who's the right contact. Like finding information here is just so difficult. And so we had an appointment, and I think we had an appointment scheduled for January 16th, I think, or 17th or something.
But even to find a midwife, it wasn't like the normal. Again, it wasn't like the normal process. Because the
Right.
normal process is your doctor would then recommend you to a midwife, and so it wasn't that. I had to dig deeper and then found out that there was one midwife that would deal with women, maybe refugee women that don't have any papers, or in in your case or something. But it was mainly refugee women. But they stated that if any other case that you don't, for some reason you don't have your doctor, then get in touch. And that person even
They weren't there
no, they
anymore,
were not
and
there anymore.
so
So
anyways, they gave you the midwife center.
yeah,
And so we had an appointment scheduled now. So by I think when we went to the urgent care on the third, by the fifth, I started noticing some bleeding. And so I tell Christopher, like, I'm panicked, and he's like, let's just wait it out tonight, and if it continues tomorrow, we'll call the urgent care. So the next day it had stopped, but I told him, I said, I'm still really concerned, and I want you to call. I'm having cramps and stuff. So he called, and they said, oh, is she still bleeding? He said no. Is she having any pain? I said yes, I'm having really bad cramps, and it's in my lower abdomen. Oh, that's normal. She doesn't need to come in. So that was just very interesting. I think it was like a Friday night to Saturday morning. And so they said, if the bleeding comes back again, call us. So Saturday night, we called our friend. He's a nurse. No, that was Sunday night. Actually, Saturday night, we called, and they said the same thing. Oh, no, it's normal. She doesn't need to come in. Um, and so,
at that time you were spudding, right?
yeah,
Because then I remember mentioning it, and
yeah,
then they did say that that was also
it's normal.
a
She
thing.
doesn't need to come in. And so Sunday, we went to church, came home, like I was fine. And then, like, I'm bleeding again, but now I'm cramping, and the cramps are getting like stronger and stronger. And so that's when we called our friend. No, Saturday night we called our friend as well, and
Yeah.
he was about to come and take me to the urgent care, but then they said I didn't need to come in. So Sunday night we called him again, and I'm having a lot of pain, and he said I think she's having a miscarriage, and so maybe you need to call them again and tell them. So Christopher calls, and now I am just having really bad contractions. So what I learned later were contractions, and I am just in so much pain. And so he calls the urgent care. Now they hear me screaming in the back. And so they said, sure, bring her in. We'll prepare a room for her. But at this point, like, I really couldn't get off the bathroom floor. So then we had the kids that weekend. So Christopher had to call
The
the
ambulance.
ambulance. So ambulance came and took me to the hospital. And I went to the hospital by myself because
The kids were
the kids
over.
are here,
Um,
and he had nobody to leave the kids with. So I went to the hospital by myself, and went there. Everybody spoke well because I was by myself. Now the first thing the
but
doctor comes in.
back it up a little bit. Even before getting when the ambulance came, before even going, there was a whole little like span of discussion and again
With the
because
urgent care.
with the no not but with the ambulance because there was a lot of questioning, and then I got questioned by one of the guys about her. Of course, the first thing they asked for is your personal number again, and then it was like, oh, you don't have a personal number, so I think he took a picture of your passport or something, and then called in, and they had to apparently I don't know if it's something that I haven't dealt with before, but had to call in and like explain the fact all that time you're in in
Yeah.
pain, but explain that fact that you don't have a personal number, and they're gonna bring you in, and then explain at the same time explaining what's happening to you and all of that. So it took a little period of time there where she was really really in pain. Like you could hear it, like it was coming, like she was on the floor. The kids confused, don't know what's happening. These three ambulance personnel in the house, and really like yeah. So it even before, I think it took like half an hour before they could even get you try to start getting you downstairs. So it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
Just that, yeah.
And so I went to the hospital. They put me in one of the rooms, and the doctor came in, and the first question she asked me was, "Have you had an ultrasound?" And I was so annoyed with this question because some of these things are the things that before this even happened was causing some conflicts with Christopher and I. I wanted to go back to Canada, and I'm like, if I can't access services here, let me go back to Canada and like just be able to know that everything is okay and like we're on the right track and stuff like that. So for me to be going through this and the first question I get asked is, have you had an ultrasound? And it's uh like I have been fighting to be able to get an ultrasound. It's either I was gonna pay like a whole lot of money to get a private ultrasound, which Christopher at that point didn't really see the need for. And so it was just like, I don't know, that question just like I was so angry. And then she put me on the table, gave me I don't want to get too graphic here, but she gave me a vaginal ultrasound, and she's looking in there and she says, "Well, I can't see anything, but I do see like a dark spot. Maybe this is the last of it that needs to come out." Yep, you're having a you're having a termination, as she called it. But I was having I had a miscarriage, and then that was it. She's like, so we just want to monitor you for the rest of the night and just make sure everything comes out. And I say, can I go to the bathroom? I go to the bathroom. It just comes out, and my pain just subsides. And so they put me.
Like right away. Oh,
Yeah, my pain just reduced, like, because there was this, yeah, the last bit of it, I guess, or I think, came out. And so I'm in the hallway on like a bed that they're about to wheel me to a room, and then we get in the hallway and she's like, insurance, I need your insurance. And I say, I don't have an insurance, my husband is going to pay the hospital bill. And she's like, well, we need your insurance, because it's going to be really expensive. And so I get Christopher on the phone. The nurse gets on the phone with him. They're back and forth speaking Norwegian. And, he's trying to tell her, yeah, like she doesn't have insurance, like we're paying. And then she says, well, if she spends the night tonight, the hospital bill is going to be really, really expensive. But if we send her home, if she goes home to like tonight, then it wouldn't be as expensive. So I tell him, listen, tell this woman I want to go home, because for me, I just felt like I felt like I had already been failed, and they gave me one ibuprofen and one paracetamol for the pain, and that was it. They didn't There was nothing like, oh, maybe you need to make another appointment to like make sure everything came out, that you don't have any infection. Because when I was coming home, that's the question my mom was asking, everybody was asking, calling me, like, are they, his mom was like, didn't they, like, what's it called, DNC or
yeah, kind of
something.
like
Yeah,
clear it up.
didn't they do that? No, nothing. I got in a taxi and I came home. And so that was my experience. It was not a pleasant one for me. And
No,
yeah.
it really wasn't. Even just that fact that um, that you had to leave, go to the hospital by yourself, um, and I couldn't be there, and found out that, oh, she can't even spend the night there because this might set us back really, financially really really bad. Um, and but still, thinking that, okay, fine, we're gonna have to take that bill, but you saying that, look, this is out now. I can come home, and to be having to come home and send a taxi for you, and you coming back by yourself, like what, an hour, maybe 2 hours after all
I
that
don't even know
all
how
that
long I was
stuff was
going for.
happening. It was it yeah. I imagine how you felt, and um, I really felt extremely bad about the situation, Mom. And one of the reasons why um, we did not have anybody to even leave the children with my friend Chris at the time. I think he couldn't make it. I think he was working or something. My mom had traveled, so it was just, yeah. I had to stay. I had to stay with the kids, and you came back that same evening by yourself, and had to sit in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But I will say, speaking of the kids and not having anyone to leave them with, they handled everything that was going on in that house, the confusion, with just such bravery. I remember I was in the bathroom, I was in so much pain, but I remember Adele came a few times and just quietly she just rubbing my back. And Darren does not like it when people are crying. If you're crying around Darren, he will cry.
hmm
Like he's empathetic like that. So you had to like keep him somewhere else, just give him his iPad, put his headphones on, and he was pretty chill. And they made sure they when the ambulance was taking me downstairs, they came downstairs. Well, Adele wanted to make sure she takes me downstairs, and Darren came too, and he wouldn't leave until like he saw the ambulance go by. I mean, go drive off. So the kids handled it really, really, really well. Like they were very brave and just they were awesome. And yeah, so I came back home and I remember just with all the frustration I was feeling and everything when I was coming home, I just said a prayer. I said, God, please, 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 don't help me not to find reason to put fault on Christopher. And I said, and Jesus, please help him to like not even find to carry any guilt in this situation. Like I don't think there was any like I mean I know there wasn't anything either one of us could have done because it was even such a short period of time. So I made sure to say that prayer when I was coming home because I know a lot of time in grief people like
put the blame on something or
yeah, you find
somebody.
something or somebody to like just direct some sort of frustration and anger towards and then not even processing. But then for me personally, another thing was like I was like if I didn't have that miscarriage and if a pregnancy test didn't tell me I was pregnant, I wouldn't have even felt like I was pregnant. And like I've been pregnant before. You
hmm
said my first one was, but I've been pregnant before, so I know like how my body handled it. But this time I was just like very disconnected from like, cause I was like, was I even really pregnant? Hmm, was I? And so, yeah,
Why
it
do you
just
think you were disconnected?
no, like I just felt like I didn't have any symptoms.
Okay.
And like that's why, and I think that's part of why I really wanted like an ultrasound because I needed to see the baby
hmm
and be like, okay, yep,
See or
you're
hear
in there.
something
Yeah, you're in. I think it might have been too early for a
to hear.
heartbeat, but
Mm.
you can see the like the little P shape. Like I needed to see and be like, okay, yep, I know you're in there because I just was like fine.
Yeah, and I, on the other hand, did project I what I knew from having experience, got two children and having experience pregnancy, not, not pregnancy, but being having a partner being pregnant, I projected what I
Your
knew my
experiences.
experiences on you.
Yeah.
Where when you asked about the ultrasound, my question was why.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
were you were very dismissive in that space because you'd say stuff like every woman goes through it here, and like almost saying to me, why do I think I'm special that I need to take all these extra steps when everybody just does it here?
no, I think, but there was a lot of things, several things that I could have done different. Part, some of them just got to do with personality on
Yeah,
on my side, and just for example, that okay, the ultrasound thing, and then maybe the calling to find out different information. I'm the one that would, whatever information I need to find out, I'm gonna research and read and whatever it takes for me not to make that call, for me not to get on that phone. And you are the total opposite. You believe in picking up that phone, ask. It can't help the and
it
which
can't
is
hurt.
it can't hurt, right? Which is very good. That's how we get. I mean, it's still a kind of a clash, oh, for now, but that's where we are. We get to, in some cases, complement each other. In some cases, get to clash in, because you want information and you want it now, and I sometimes push back on that.
Yeah,
So some of those things I could have made those calls earlier. Not the urgent care part,
yeah,
because that happened, but the certain calls that I could have
yeah. No,
made,
the
I could
urgent
have.
care I made the call, my, but like
Mm,
here's
no, I'm talking about the time you started to bleed.
oh,
Um,
right. But
yeah,
like and we're talking about like you making calls and you like you do have a hesitation in that. But like I think a lot of times you forget and this isn't a fault that I'm trying to fault you, but I really do think you forget that I'm in a country where getting information in a language I'm familiar with is not really a thing.
right.
So I rely on you a lot more to get me this information than I would if we were in a country where we both spoke the same language
And
or where the
because
country we spoke the yeah, you know
and
what I mean.
because you would have been the
I would have
one to
just been
to just
calling. Like
make
I
those
would just take it
calls.
off and just lead with it and just call. And another thing for me, like I submission is not like I am learning and I'm really trying with learning how to submit myself to my husband because I would have just booked a ticket
Yeah,
and
that
gone.
that that was another point of clash, because I think that was where I did make the statement on every other woman does it here. Well, not every
Yeah.
woman that's living here does it here. I don't think there's anything wrong with the healthcare system. However, you're in a special situation, but I believed that we could get through it. Um, and when you mentioned the thing about going, it just, I think it was deeper. Whatever feeling that or thing that I got from that was a bit deeper than just you wanting to go and take care of yourself medically, or be in a more familiar environment. And how deep that is, I don't know. It felt like being a I don't know, being abandoned, or just there's something happened there,
Yeah.
and it caused me to snap on it, on you, and say stuff,
Yeah.
which I obviously shouldn't have. And I've apologized for that, and I'm sorry again. Um, but it did cause it was a heavy moment on us. However, I would commend you for the way you bounced back because it seemed like yes, we got to find out that I didn't even know that like miscarriage is so like
It's
very
so calm.
normal. It's very common. However,
I
it's
think
special
one in
for.
four women will experience miscarriage
Mm,
at least once. I think that's the stat.
yeah, I think so too. Um, but it's all. I believe it's always heavy. It's always difficult. But you bounced back from that like a champ. But what you struggled with was what it caused emotionally and personally between me
Yeah.
and you.
I also
Um,
feel like I didn't really have a choice but to bounce and function. I think it's very important that, yes, while like when the kids are around, yes, sometimes they see us arguing, but it's very important to me that they see us make up. And in that time, my when the miscarriage happened, the kids' grandpa, they were away for 2 days after it happened, and then they came back to us. And their grandpa on the maternal side was ill, and then mom had to travel. And then in that time, she had to go because he went to, was it Sweden? He went to
Belgium.
Belgium to visit family, and he got sick there. So she had to, the kid's mom had to go, and so we kept the kids. And while she, just the morning she got there, or her dad
Before.
passed, or the night before her dad passed. So we kept the kids for the rest of that week and into the following week and the whole entire week. So we had the kids. So for me at that point, like I just needed to put whatever I felt like whatever I was going through, I needed to put it aside and be present for the kids,
Hmm.
because I also knew that when their mom came back, she's also coming back with tough news that she was going to be giving them, that their grandpa passed, because they knew their grandpa very well.
Yeah, I
And
spent a
yeah,
few days before
it
that. I
was just
spent
a
time
couple
with
of
him.
days. Adele, it was Adele that was with, and then a
Yeah.
couple of weeks before, Darian was with him for the day. So they knew that their grandpa very well, and so I knew she was coming back with bad news. So I needed to be tip top for them, and so that, but also that put me in the space where I was exhausted. I was exhausted because like I have all this thing, whatever is going on with my body now, and all this stuff, and then I have the children that I need to be present for, because we don't there was nobody else here to look after the kids while we do that. So I needed to be present for my stepchildren. Um, yeah,
And
and
you
so,
and you handle that really, really well. Not so long after that, we found out that your uh, papers, your documents were the time
and
span was extended
yeah,
because it was supposed to be what,
I was
April?
supposed to know. I was supposed to know. Yeah, this the beginning of April,
Yeah, you should
about
have.
whether I get my an answer from immigration, but they pushed it back by another 3 months.
Hmm.
So I should know by July.
Hmm.
And so even adding that to it, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to be pregnant again and have to go through this.
Because also I think there's a difference with going through the pregnancy without your personal number, but I think it's a real hustle
It
when
is.
you if you don't have a personal number and you give birth.
It is. Right.
I think so. Um, yeah,
But like, and they say like pregnancy, like they take care of you whether you're a Norwegian or not, but you really have to jump through hoops to get like the care if you're not. Norwegian. I don't find this country foreigner friendly. After my experience, I don't find it foreigner friendly. My dealings with people at the hospital, just like I experienced a lot of just insensitive uh encounters, I feel like. And so it was not, it was, so when we finally we still went to the appointment for the mid with the midwife after the miscarriage happened. I didn't really see the need to go, but we went, and it was an okay meeting with her. And so she said, well, if you guys, if you get pregnant again, like, you just call me directly. And I'm just like shaking my head like, yeah, I don't. And she's like, no, no. I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I want to experience this. If God wills it, like, of course I want my life to go according to the will of God. And if I do, I want to have children. But yeah, it just wasn't pleasant for me.
I think something that helped was going to church, and you can't hide your feelings. Like, it's you wear it on your face, and I think it was actually noticed at church, and
No, but I was still pregnant. It was that same day I had the miscarriage. When the
uh,
pastor talked to us,
yeah.
that was that same Sunday I had the miscarriage.
Oh, right, that's right. Because we were experiencing that stuff already then, and then they talked to us and already offered for us to have a talk with them, and we actually went and
Yeah,
had
the
the talk
miscarriage happened on
on a Sunday.
Sunday
We were at
night,
church, yeah,
and
and then
then
Tuesday we were
Tuesday we were at the
scheduled
house.
to talk to them, Pastor Jeremy and Lisbeth, and
They invited us
um,
over for dinner,
yeah, and
and
just talking about it, um, not just with them. It helped a bit with them, helped me kind of. I think it was very special because he's American and his wife Elizabeth is Norwegian, and in a lot of the things that we were experiencing with me, um, kind of being the laid back Norwegian style, and you being more forward with, go get it, whatever you need to find out, you know, they could relate in a way and made me really reflect and see myself and mention something that I did not ever think about even getting into this marriage. The fact that, especially since both of us are from the same country, that there's cultural differences happening
yeah.
here, and I had not thought about that. And you wanted to mention, like, you really sound like you're more Norwegian than you would like to admit, and I think they were right because I mean, in this country, one first thing, information is key to everything, but there's so much lack of information here. Like, you have to, like, really, really work to find the information that you need. I got to experience that from the time I moved here. Like, I had to really, 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 really fight to find the information that I needed. And
And even sometimes the people who are the professionals don't even
don't even know.
have the
Yeah,
answers. They
you
don't even
know.
have answers for you.
So that's that side of it, and just the other thing is Norwegians in general are pretty laid back. With we will complain about what's wrong with the system or the government or wherever, but you will never see people protest. Hardly ever see people protesting about anything. Like, you just sit in your homes or at work. Yeah, this isn't working. They should be doing it this and this and that way, but to really get move forward, you find out even in workplaces where people would, talk among each other, employees would talk among each other, and maybe one brave person will come up and say we should go ahead and address that in a meeting, and then you go and sit in that meeting, and you probably will be alone addressing that because everybody else will pull back. So it's kind of, at least from my experience so far in the last 19 years being here, it kind of shocked me that we, as not just best friends, of very good friends from for many years, but from the same country, that we are experiencing a huge culture difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about the whole experience, like emotionally?
Emotionally, I don't think I don't think I got the experience personally, emotionally, when it came to losing the child, like to that it really got to me. I don't think it did, and I think it's mainly because I've I'm in the space of really surrendering things to God, that um, if this was something that He wanted for us, we're going to see it through. I think that helped me in um, in getting past that. However, um, it kind of made me reflect on some um, things from the past that I've regretted without having to go deeper into it.
Uh-huh.
Um, that definitely made me think. Yeah, because I remember that night when you left, I kind of broke down and just went, and yeah, I got Adele and Darren to sleep, I think in the same room, and I just sat and I broke down right holding them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, but that was, and then I just was able to let go of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How come you were able to seem like you were able to bounce back like that?
Like I said, I was really disassociated from like the whether I even had struggle with believing whether if I didn't experience what I experienced, I probably would have said no. I would have probably been in denial
Mm,
about being pregnant. And I think a lot of that, like you talk about things of your past that you regret. I think a lot of that too was like me having to remember that there's no condemnation through Christ.
mm,
Um, and so I just, yeah, I don't know. I think I just was more helpless
mm,
than sad. Like I just felt let down. Um, and so I think just my whole experience that just didn't even allow for me to focus on the fact that like I had a miscarriage. But
mm,
like just all the experiences around me didn't yeah, and so
mm.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. 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 At least we got. Oh man, it's snowing.
Can you focus so we can wrap up?
All right. Yeah. I think. I think we can wrap up here.
Yeah.
There are some other stuff happening, of course, and we'll definitely get back to it. Maybe if you've seen any of our other videos, we are not where we used to record.
Well,
We're
it was
gonna.
one video we posted where we recorded
Was
together.
it just one?
Yeah, because the other one was virtual, then it was the wedding, then it was the proposal. The after the proposal, we recorded in my apartment
Uh,
in Winnipeg. So
that's
we've
because
always
I've been
been,
doing African abroad stuff. So I
yeah, we've
thinking
always
like,
been
okay,
doing sit downs in different
yeah,
locations.
right.
Um,
Um,
so
but
yeah, um,
not long after all of this happened, we um, jump into
yeah,
some
we're
other
on the
stuff
go.
that we are gonna get in the next time. Get
Yep,
into the next time.
yep.
Okay.
So, oh, what I will say with this experience, I feel like I didn't really know that it's like when you actually have a baby, or when you get married, get a part of this club. And like when you have a baby, you're a part of this club.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize, you hear the statistics of 1 in 4 women will have miscarriage at least once in a lifetime, but you don't realize how many women right around you in like have experienced that. And I don't know if it's, I don't know why, I don't know if it's because there's such a shame around it. And I know women sometimes, even though like I know it was nothing, it was not my fault, but I know a lot of women tend to internalize what they could have done. And even though I know that there was nothing I did wrong, I caught myself a few times saying, well, maybe because I went for sushi the day before I took the test. I was like, if this test come out positive, I'm not gonna have sushi for like over a year. Like I can't live this life. I need to. So went for sushi the day before I took the test. And then like, but after this experience, I think even a good month after, I remember we're driving and I was feeling nauseous, and I just remember like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have taken as many ibuprofens as I was. No, and no, gravel
Mm.
for my nausea. I'm like,
Really? You
maybe,
thought about that?
yeah, I think I even mentioned it to you. Maybe I was just taking, but then I had to remind myself, like, hey, you really did nothing wrong here. There was nothing you could have done and stuff like that. But you don't realize, and I don't know. So maybe there's like this stigma around it. And then, but for me, I'm usually very open with my experiences and stuff, so I talk about it. And then like I hear women saying, oh yeah, I experienced that and I went through that. And like it's very, it's a very emotional space to be in. But
Yeah.
it's just like it surprised me. And I don't know why I got so surprised, because when you when you go and read about it and they tell you, like this is the amount of women that will have it, like experience it, you kind of have to know that there are some people around you that, but it's just, yeah, that really took me by surprise. There
Yeah.
are a lot of women that I've spoken to have shared with me their experiences,
Mm.
or the experiences of other women close to them. And so, I think we need to, if it is a stigma, a shame thing, I think we definitely need to remove it. Um,
Stop the recording now.
uh, I stopped it.
I said don't.
No, I
Oh, you
didn't.
did. Okay.
We definitely need to like be able to
Talk
talk
about
about it and share information and um,
it. Mm.
resources, because I really didn't get any type of information. I went to go find my own information of, okay, you had a miscarriage. Now what does this mean? Like what? Like it's just, yeah.
Mm.
That's what I wanted to add.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess this is where we wrap this up,
Yep.
or say until next time.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. Um, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and it's